If you've ever felt like you want to read more but you just couldn't focus, or you thought maybe you're just not a reader, then this video is for you. Reading doesn't necessarily need rules, discipline, or even a personality type. It just needs the right approach. Hi, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Kirtana and I love to talk about books. This video is going to be slightly different. This is going to be a beginner's guide to reading. This is for people who are curious to try reading in this new year. Maybe they're feeling overwhelmed. I'm just here to give you some tips. Even if you're someone who used to read before and now wants to get back into it, I'm going to try and give you some tips and tricks that you could probably use to get back into reading. As someone who generally reads a lot, I have been reading a lot since I was a kid. I did fall off for a little bit and then I got back into it like a few years ago. I just want to share like some of the things that I do that help me to stay focused when I read, and just like in general make me enjoy what I'm reading more, so that I by default want to read more. So if this is something you're interested in starting this year, or maybe just getting back to it, this video is definitely for you. So the first thing I want to get out of the way is there are absolutely zero rules to reading. You don't have to read only classics to actually be a reader. You don't even have to read every day to be a reader. You could read maybe one page in a week or one page in 2 weeks, and that still makes you a reader. There is absolutely no rules to this. Also, you're totally allowed to like pick up a book, start reading it and not complete it. Like you can totally like just stop reading a book if that's not your vibe, if you're not enjoying it. It is not a punishment. You only read for enjoyment, you read for pleasure, or you read to learn something. So if those things are not being met by the book you're reading, you are totally allowed to like not complete a book. That does not make you any less of a reader. There's a reason why so many readers go around saying that I DNF'd a book. DNF stands for did not finish. They literally did not finish a book. That does not make you any less of a reader. So that's like totally allowed. Another thing I want to point out is audiobooks totally count as reading. I myself am not a huge audiobook girly. I try in between here and there, but I personally prefer to eyeball read. But I know so many people who enjoy audiobooks and that is their preferred method of reading, and that's completely valid. You can listen to audiobooks and still count yourself as a reader. There's nothing wrong with that. If that's your jam, if that's what you feel like you need to, that's completely fine too. Basically what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're reading something or if you start a book and it feels like homework or it feels like more work and it just makes you so tired and it just makes you feel like every time you pick it up you dread it, maybe just stop reading it. Maybe that's not the right book for you. Maybe pick something else. And that would actually help you figure out what kind of books you actually like. I honestly believe anyone can read or become a reader if they really want to, and if that's something they want to pursue. Because there are so many books out there. There is something for everybody. You don't have to read a book just because it's viral, or if it's not a genre you like. You have to figure out what really brings enjoyment to you and what makes you feel good while reading it, and that would be your genre or your category of books that you really enjoy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's going to judge you for it. Everybody has their own opinions, and that's completely okay. So that brings me to the most important part, which is choosing the right book. Most people who say that they hate reading actually probably just picked up the wrong book for them. I think an easy way to understand what you could be possibly drawn towards is to see what you enjoy in other aspects of your life. Like if you take movies for example, if you really enjoy like rom-com movies, I would suggest you try reading a romance book. Just a normal rom-com or a contemporary romance would be a good place to start. If you enjoy like true crime podcasts or maybe thriller movies, a thriller book might be the perfect place for you to start. Reading normally works best when it matches what you kind of already enjoy. For example, I love movies where romance is like the major plot of the movie, which is why when I first started reading, I gravitated only towards romance books. Even now, most of the time, if you give me an option, I will gravitate towards a romance book. It's very difficult for me to enjoy a book that doesn't have romance in it, even if it's a subplot. I just need like something of it, but that's just my personal choice because it's just something I enjoy. If I try to pick up like a high fantasy with absolutely zero romance in it, I might not enjoy it, and that doesn't make me any less of a reader, if you get what I'm trying to say. So don't start with books that are popular, I would say. Start with books that kind of resonate with you, kind of sounds like fun to you. Those would be the kind of books that you are most likely going to finish and actually feel like you enjoyed it and you found it pleasurable to actually sit and go through that book. Another thing that no one talks about is format matters. Okay, there are different ways to read a book. You could read a book like physically, you could have the physical copy of the book and you could be reading it. You could read it on an e-reader like on a Kindle or a Kobo, or you could probably listen to it on audio as an audiobook. And these things really matter because some people like to hold the book in their hands and like actually feel the process of turning the pages, and that brings them joy while reading, and that's what makes them continue wanting to read. So that could be an option for you. There are so many things you can do even if you want to like do it on a budget. For example, you could thrift books. Thrifting books is like one of my favorite things to do. There are so many options at the thrift store. Little free libraries, like if you have like a residential neighborhood around you, you just walk through, you can find these little free libraries and you can just try a book from there. And another option is libraries. I think libraries are amazing. You can just try out so many different books and you can give them back, absolutely no cost involved, which is like my favorite thing to do, especially when I want to try out like a new author or a new kind of book. I love taking it from my library because I don't really have to commit to buying that book if I don't really like it. Another thing people really enjoy reading is through an e-reader like a Kindle or a Kobo. I actually enjoy doing this too, especially for like really long books. I feel like when I read on my Kindle, it goes really fast. Like I get through the book so much faster. It probably is not true. I probably read at the same speed, but I don't know, just the feeling of like reading it on an e-reader, I feel like it really goes through much faster. If you are someone who likes to cuddle up in bed and just read and you don't want to have the hassle of leaving the lights on or things like that, then an e-reader is an excellent option because you don't need your lights to be on. You can just cuddle up under your blanket and then read it, which is my favorite thing to do. I generally love the e-reader because again, it's so travel friendly. You can pop it in your bag, you can take it on commute, anywhere like you just have some time to kill. You can literally stand there and read it without the hassle of carrying like big physical books with you. And your third option is audiobooks. This I feel a lot of people nowadays really like, especially because you can listen to an audiobook while you're doing anything, right? Like you can listen to an audiobook when you're cleaning or when you're crafting, or maybe while even at the gym. Like instead of doing cardio and being bored or like listening to music, people listen to audiobooks now. I also feel people read more while listening to an audiobook, basically because you can stack two things, right? You can literally listen to an audiobook throughout your whole day while you do something else. Sometimes it's not really that you hate reading, it's just that you hate sitting still. And if that's the case, then audiobooks are definitely the way to go because you can do so many things while listening to an audiobook, literally. How to build a habit without pressure. If you're just getting into reading, I would say don't really aim for finishing like 30 pages in one sitting or 50 pages in one sitting. Put shorter intervals of time, like maybe you can like take out 10 minutes just to read in a day. That's enough. That's totally fine. 10 minutes in one day, just sit in one place, take out your book or audiobook or whatever format you prefer and just spend 10 minutes with that book. You never know, what if you really like the book and you decide, you know what, I want to continue reading after those 10 minutes. It's literally no pressure. Nobody's there forcing you to do it. It's not work. It's just a small amount of time in your day that you're taking to do this. And I like to do this at like parts of my day when I know I'd rather be reading over like scrolling on my phone or things like that. Like for example, just before bed, I don't want to be scrolling on my phone because there are 101 reasons why you should not be looking at your screen just before you go to sleep. So I think reading is a good alternative. So maybe just 10 minutes before bed. If you don't want to give more time than that when you're starting off, just keep it at that. It doesn't matter how many pages you finish. Nothing matters. Even if you read only one page in that 10 minutes, it's something that you tried, and who knows, you might even like it, right? So I think that would be a really good way to start. Or maybe like first thing in the morning while you have your tea or coffee, if you have like a little bit of time, instead of just doom scrolling on your phone, you could just pick up a book and read for like 10 minutes, or any time during the day when you just have some time for yourself. I also think commute is a really good time. Like, I spend a lot of time on the public transport just reading, because what else am I going to do, right? It's so much fun. I feel like time goes so much more faster. I don't even realize that it's taken so long for me to like reach home or anything, because I'm so like inside my book. So I think that's also a really good place. Or if you're just standing in line somewhere, it doesn't really matter. The whole point is you don't have to pressurize yourself into deciding that I have to finish so many pages in a day. Instead of that, just give yourself some time during the day to just pick up a book and maybe just read for like 10 minutes or even 5 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever feels like no pressure for you. Another thing is, if you can't focus, that's I've heard a lot of people say this, that while reading their mind wanders and they feel like they cannot continue reading, and that's completely normal too. It happens to everybody. It happens to me, especially because I am someone who's generally very anxious. I have a million thoughts running through my head all the time, and if there's something that I'm especially worried about when I'm reading, I might still think about that. So if that happens, it's completely fine. You can just reread what you were reading. Like, if it was just a paragraph, you suddenly feel like, oh, I don't know what just happened, just reread it. Or maybe you could try switching over to audio. I've heard that really helps. A lot of people also really swear by immersive reading, which is another thing I think most people, especially people who are new to reading, could try, which is where you listen to the audiobook of the book while you read the book physically or on your e-reader. So you're kind of listening to it and reading at the same time. They call this immersive reading, and it really helps you focus. It also like kind of sets the background for you. Like, it makes you really dive into the book. So in that case, it's very difficult for your mind to wander. And the other thing is, which I always do, if you feel like you're losing focus too much, just put the book down, come back later, leave it there for now. Once you have gone about your day, or maybe even the next day, when you feel like, oh, you know what, I feel calm enough, or I feel ready to read more, go for it. You can always just put it down and come back to it whenever you want. And now to my favorite part. I'm gonna recommend some books for you, especially if you haven't read in a long time, or if you're just getting back into reading. And since I am mostly a romance, thriller, fantasy kind of reader, those are the kind of books I'm going to be recommending for you. In general, I think either romance or thrillers are the best way to get into reading, if you're into fiction, that is, because they're mostly fast-paced and they're small books, and things happen so quickly that you kind of just want to keep going, and you end up finishing the book anyway. So I think those would be like really good introductions to people who want to start reading or like get back into reading. For thrillers, some of my recommendations I'm just going to put up on the screen. Anything by these authors, I would say, are definitely easy to like get into, but these are just some of my favorites. That would be like One Housemaid by Frida McFadden. I think is a great place to start. The Only One Left by Riley Sager is also a great fast-paced book. The Silent Patient by Alex Michael Lides, I want to say. I'm sorry if I butchered his name. The Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose. These are just some out of the top of my head. And for romance, I have so many like good options here, but I think anything by Christina Lauren is a good way to go. There's this book which I feel like not many people talk about, Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I think that would be a really good book to start with. Another option for you is anything by Abby Jimenez. I think those are really easy to follow. They're real world and they're so cute. They would make a perfect first read. I would say Part of Your World series. So Part of Your World, Yours Truly, Just for the Summer. They're all three great books. You could start anywhere with those. Emily Henry's, I think, also really popular, especially I would say Beach Read or People We Meet on Vacation. Both of these books would make really good first time reads. In fact, when I got back into reading, one of my first books was Emily Henry's Beach Read, and I fell in love with that book immediately. Anything by Ali Hazelwood, especially for the girls in STEM or who likes reading about women in STEM, I think anything by Ali Hazelwood. You could try The Love Hypothesis. I think that whole series is also really good to start with. They're easy to follow. And for fantasy, I going to suggest mostly like romantasy, where you have romance as a major plot in your fantasy book. Those are the kind of books that I generally enjoy. If you want to get into that, I would say the two series I would recommend to start with would be either ACOTAR, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J Maas. I think that is a brilliant place to start fantasy. Like that, if you read, you don't even have to read the whole series, you just have to read the first three books. If you read the first three books and you like it, you know fantasy is for you. If you don't really enjoy it, you don't vibe with it at all, then I think it would be very difficult for you to get into romantasy, because that really kind of sets the pace. Like, it gives you an idea of what romantasy is kind of like. So I think that's an excellent place to start. I'm not saying that if you don't like it, you won't like any other romantasy book ever, but I think, like, you know, you get the vibe of what a romantasy is, the magic systems, and if that's not for you, maybe fantasy is not for you, and that's completely okay. But I think that would be a great place to start. Another great series for you to start with would also be the Powerless trilogy. I think that's also really nice to like just get into fantasy with. It's got a great romance plot. I'm not a huge fan of the second book that much, but I still think all three together, they make a really good place for you to like dip your toes into romantasy. And obviously Fourth Wing, I think Fourth Wing is also really great. You really don't need to like read all of this, you just need to pick one that kind of sounds interesting to you, and then like just give it a go, and you never know what happens. I truly believe that if reading has felt hard for you in the past, it does not mean you have failed. It just means that you haven't found your way yet. Let me know what kind of books you're curious about, or if you want a part 2 maybe. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope this video has helped at least one of you get back into reading or just find the joy in reading. If you don't already, please do follow me on my Instagram and on my TikTok, where I post book content almost daily. And if you'd like to see more videos from me here on YouTube, please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!